You might have seen scary headlines everywhere screaming, "Recession is coming." But what does that actually mean for your job, your money, and your future? And that's why you clicked. Congrats, you're in the right place. Because I'm going to explain all about recession in the simplest way. In this video, you'll find out what a recession really is, why they happen, what actually goes on during a recession, and how to protect yourself and your family. So stick around because understanding this could mean the difference between panic and peace of mind. Let's jump in. Part 1. What is a recession? Let's start with the basics, because most people think they know what a recession is. But they're only half right. Imagine a neighborhood where everyone has jobs. Sarah works at the local factory. Mike runs a coffee shop. Lisa teaches at the elementary school. Everyone's making money, spending money, and life is good. Now imagine the factory suddenly can't sell its products anymore. So they lay off Sarah. Without her paycheck, Sarah stops buying coffee from Mike. Mike's business starts struggling, so he has to let go of his part-time worker. The part-time worker was Lisa's husband, so now their family has less money, and they skip their usual weekend dinners out. Did you see the pattern? One person losing their job creates a chain reaction, a domino effect that eventually affects everyone. That's a recession in miniature, but scale it up to millions of people across entire countries. Technically, economists define a recession as when a country's GDP shrinks for 2 quarters in a row. GDP is just the total value of everything a country produces, like all the cars, computers, haircuts, and hamburgers combined. But here's where it gets weird. Even if GDP shrinks for 6 months, it's not officially a recession until a group called the National Bureau of Economic Research declares it. They're like the judges of economic disasters, looking at employment, income, spending, and production before making their call. And they're notoriously slow. They often don't declare a recession until months after it's already started. It's like announcing a fire after the building has already burned down. Now let's find out the reasons why a recession happens. Part 2. Why does a recession happen? Now here's where things get really interesting, because recessions aren't overnight tragedies. They have causes, and once you understand them, they start making perfect sense. The first cause is a supply and demand disaster. Think of the economy like a giant marketplace. Sometimes there's too much stuff being made and not enough people buying it. Companies are stuck with warehouses full of products nobody wants, so they start losing money and laying off workers. Other times, everyone wants to buy something, but there's not enough of it to go around. Prices shoot up, people can't afford things anymore, and spending drops off a cliff. It's like musical chairs, but with money, and somebody always ends up without a seat. The second one is the interest rates. So, when interest rates are low, borrowing money is cheap. Companies expand, people buy houses, everyone's feeling wealthy. The economy goes into party mode. But when rates shoot up, suddenly borrowing becomes expensive. That business expansion becomes too costly. That dream house gets out of reach. Everyone slams on the economic brakes at the same time. Right now, interest rates are higher than most people would like, and banks are making it harder to get loans. That should make your recession radar start beeping. Now let's have a reality check. Sometimes recessions happen even when everything seems perfect. People get so excited about making money that they start making really dumb decisions with borrowed cash. They buy houses they can't afford, invest in companies that don't make sense, or pour money into assets that are worth way less than they're paying. Everyone's convinced they're going to get rich quick, until reality hits like a cold slap in the face. That's exactly what happened in 2007. People were buying houses with money they didn't have. Banks were handing out loans to anyone with a pulse, and everyone thought house prices would rise forever. But they crashed instead. Hard. Moving on to the next cause, that is the unexpected disasters. These are the curveballs nobody sees coming. Wars, pandemics, natural disasters, oil price explosions. These are like economic earthquakes that shake everything. COVID-19 was the perfect example. One day the world was normal. The next day entire countries were locked down, and the global economy was on life support. Now let's look at the consequences of a recession. Part 3. What happens during a recession? When a recession hits, it's like watching a perfectly choreographed disaster movie, except it's happening in real life. First, companies start making less money because people are buying less stuff. So they do what companies always do when profits drop. They cut costs by firing people. Those newly unemployed people now have even less money to spend, so they buy even less stuff, which means companies make even less money and fire even more people. It's a downward spiral that feeds on itself like a financial tornado. The stock market usually crashes because investors panic and start selling everything. Companies that seemed rock solid suddenly go bankrupt. People lose their homes when they can't make mortgage payments. Entire industries can vanish almost overnight. But here's what might surprise you. Governments don't just sit there and watch the world burn. They step in with unemployment benefits for people who lost jobs. They launch programs to help businesses hire workers back. They build roads, schools, and infrastructure projects to create new jobs and get money flowing again. It's like economic CPR, which means pumping money back into the system until it starts breathing on its own. And here's the thing that gives me hope. Recessions always end. Always. The average recession lasts about 10 months, the longest one in recent history. That brutal 2007 to 2009 recession lasted 18 months. Not pleasant while you're living through it, but they do end. Every single time. Part 4. Are we actually heading towards a recession? So the million-dollar question everyone's asking, are we about to get hit by another recession? Let's put on our economic detective hats and examine the recession indicators. Number 1. The GDP clue. Right now, the economy actually grew 2.4% in the fourth quarter of 2024. That's like the patient having a steady heartbeat. Not amazing, but definitely alive. Number 2. The employment ratio. This one's trickier. Unemployment ticked up to 4.2% in March 2025 from 4.1% the month before. That might not sound like much, but it's been climbing since January. When people start losing jobs, it's usually the first domino to fall. Companies know something's wrong before the rest of us do. Number 3. The spending power. People are still opening their wallets, but more carefully. Consumer spending is increasing, but at a slower pace. It's like everyone's suddenly becoming more cautious about money, which could be smart, or it could be the beginning of that vicious cycle. Number 4. The credit squeeze. Banks are tightening their belts. They're making it harder to get loans and charging higher interest rates. When money becomes expensive to borrow, everything else slows down. According to recent Fed reports, banks are already applying stricter standards for business loans. That's like seeing storm clouds gathering on the horizon. Number 5. The yield curve. There's this weird economic indicator that sounds boring but has an incredible track record. It's called the yield curve, and it's predicted every US recession since the 1950s. Here's how it works. Usually, long-term government bonds pay higher interest than short-term ones. That's normal. But when that flips, when short-term bonds pay more, it means investors are nervous about the immediate future. The good news is that right now, the curve is normal. The 10-year Treasury is paying 4.17%, while the 2-year is at 3.66%. Crisis averted, at least for now. Number 6. The stock market changes. The market's been swinging like a pendulum lately. Wild ups and downs usually mean investors are scared and can't decide what to do with their money. When confidence is high, prices are steady. When people are panicking, everything becomes a casino. So what's the verdict? Honestly, it's like trying to predict the weather. Some clouds are gathering, but we don't know if it'll be a light shower or a hurricane. And we're not the only ones watching the skies. Even the big players on Wall Street are sounding the alarm. JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon recently warned about a potential crack in the bond market, driven by the US massive debt load, which is over $36 trillion. He says if it breaks, regulators could panic, and markets could spiral. Meanwhile, Goldman Sachs also suggests that the chance of recession hitting the US is still 40%. When giants like these start ringing alarm bells, it's a good idea to start paying attention. So, you need to prepare yourself no matter what. Part 5. What to do during a recession. But here's the beautiful thing about recessions. You don't need a crystal ball to prepare for them. You just need a plan. The first step is to become debt-free. Debt during a recession is like wearing concrete shoes while trying to swim. Start attacking your debts now, smallest to largest. Every payment you eliminate is one less thing dragging you down when times get tough. Moreover, build your financial shield. Save 3 to 6 months of expenses and put it somewhere safe. This isn't vacation money or shopping money. This is your economic survival kit. When everyone else is panicking, you'll be the calm person in the room. In addition, don't be a market chicken. When stocks crash, your brain will scream, "Sell everything." But don't listen. Market crashes are when everything goes on sale. If you're investing for the long term, crashes are opportunities wearing scary masks. The stock market has recovered from every single crash in history. Every single one. Also, you must choose your job wisely. Look at your career honestly. Are you in an industry people need even during tough times? Healthcare, education, food, essential services, these tend to survive economic storms better. If you're in a shakier field, now's the time to develop backup skills or explore more stable options. Don't wait until the pink slips start flying. And finally, stay informed, not terrified. Keep an eye on economic news, but remember the media makes money from fear, not from keeping you calm. Panic gets clicks, drama gets views. Don't let scary headlines drive your financial decisions. Stay informed, but don't let fear paralyze you. Here's what I want you to remember. Recessions are like storms. They're scary, they can cause real damage, and they're unpredictable in their timing. But they're also temporary, and people who prepare for them don't just survive, they often come out stronger. We've weathered 13 recessions since World War II. Our parents survived the chaos of 2008. We made it through the COVID economic shutdown, and we'll make it through whatever comes next. The secret isn't having a crystal ball that tells you exactly when the next recession will hit. The secret is being ready for it whenever it does. Start today. Ditch the debt. Save that emergency fund. Don't panic when markets get crazy. And remember, recessions end, but smart financial habits last forever. You've got this. The economy might do whatever dance it wants to do, but if you're prepared, you're not dancing to its tune. What's your first move going to be? Drop a comment below and let me know how you're recession-proofing your life. And if this helped you understand what all the economic noise is really about, hit that subscribe button because there's a lot more financial real talk coming your way. Thanks for watching.